From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Wakers, pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Venus nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they try to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan, now there's crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
Hold on, everybody. I'm all up in this thing wrong. Let me get it right. There we go. Hold on. 1 second. Too high. All right, that'll do. All right, that'll do. All right, this is, and you are under the groove. Excuse that that momentary silence there, man. I'm trying to regulate everything. I just got in off the freeway, man. That 101 ain't no joke. I've been, out and about today doing what I do, no excuses, you know what I mean? I ain't apologizing for it or nothing, but respectfully been a long wait in traffic. Let me put it to you like that. But here I am, and there you are. This is Under the Groove Podcast. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday, everyone. And this, hey, listen, this is another day, man, in the week, of days that we've made it. Grand rising, everybody, peace and prosperity, each and every one of you. You are here wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, you are present. All right. That's the key. That's, right there. You're present. You're here. All right. So that's a good look, man. Again, this is Touching Bases with the People. And today is Thursday. All right. Let's not get it twisted. Got a couple of things for us, man. But today is Tough Love Thursday. We're going to hit it like that, man. Raw, honest conversations today. That's how we're going to do that. All right. So just know, man, when you're coming in here today, you're coming in here with raw, honest conversation, tough love, but respectfully. That's the thing, man. Y'all got to get that, get an understanding of that. It's cool to disagree, and it's even better to agree to disagree. Let's keep it respectful, though. All right, let's do that respectfully. You know what I mean? So here we are, and let's get it in. All right. Got a couple of things I want to drop on you guys today. I find them significant. Hold on, let me look at something, make sure everything lined up right. Yep. Again, man, this is about us. This is about us. Don't get it twisted. This ain't about me, bub. I'm nobody in the scheme of things. I'm like, fly shit, just a speck. what we talking about the other day. I'm just a drop in the ocean, man. A drop of water in the ocean of it. So, hey, man, this ain't about me. This is about the ocean. This is about the ocean, and we consist of the ocean. The sooner we get to that point, the better off I think we'll be. There's a lot going on in the world, man, and everything that's going on in the world, it ain't to our benefit. All right. It doesn't mean that it's good for us. It's not, it's not. There are things in motion, people in place, who run everything that don't have our best interest at hand, So, yeah, let's be straight up about that. Let's be straight up about that. For a lot of us, though, we tend to think not along them lines. For a lot of us, we tend to think that everything is all good. You know the phrase we use, it's all good. I mean, for real, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Then some say, hey, man, it is what it is. What the fuck do you mean? What the hell do you mean it is what it is? Help me to understand that, I think that's important, man. We should not just say shit just because it sounds good. It's trending or whatever. Let's be real. Speak truth to power, man. It is messed up. So yeah, this is, hey, Tough Love Thursday. All right. So let's dispense it. Let's dispense that tough love, man, because a lot of our people need it. A lot of us need it, man. A lot of us, man, are under the impression, man, that there's entitlement that gives them, a leeway to, do what they want to do, say what they want to say, and be how they want to be, as though it does not impact anyone else. That's not true. There's that, what I mean? And again, there's what's going on in the world. A lot of us don't pay attention to that because we tend to think it's not going to affect us. Man, are you stupid? Are you stupid? It's our responsibility to some extent to enlighten brothers and sisters and tell them, hey, man, that's some bullshit. Everything that's going on in the world, man, affects us, and it's going to affect us more than others first. We'll get that initially, man. We'll get it for a whole lot of others get it. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, this is real life shit, man. This is real life shit. And in terms of that, man, we need to be dealing or having conversations, in real life, speaking truth to power. All right. So this is what that is. Tough Love Thursday. All right. There that go. All right, Antonio, I see you up in here, bro. Love right back to you. Peace, prosperity to you and the fam, man. Also B60M, he up in here, man. Front center as always. Beautiful thing, man. Beautiful thing. Greetings and salutations to you, Bub, and the RGC B1. Black first, everybody. Black first. And if you ain't on that, man, you tripping. You tripping. You tripping because you don't see obviously what's going on around you. Not just in your community with our brothers and sisters, man, but everybody else, man. See, we're in circle. A lot of us don't even see that. We're surrounded. A lot of us don't see that shit, man. And because of that, a lot of us don't understand or can't comprehend the be first mentality, because that ain't what they representing, that ain't what they representing. A lot of them are representing streets we don't own, a lot of them representing, chasing a bag, you know what I mean? That ain't going to really get them nothing. Ain't going to do nothing for them, so that's a lot of what's going on, bro. But listen, truth of the matter is, man, either we get it together, man, or, hey, man, they're going to continue. They will continue to mess over us. Because the impression to them coming from us is that we don't give a damn about ourselves. Why should they? That makes sense to me. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. Why should somebody give a damn about me and I'm portraying to the world that I don't give a damn about my damn self? Come on, man. That's how that works, for real. That's how that really works. So when we see Mexicans or anybody else, in the same vicinity as us, same location, going through life, but treating us as though we shit, that's because that's how we treat us. Like we're shit, man. And that ain't cool. That is not cool. You know, so yeah, we got to get it together, man. Alonzo, I see you up in here, man. You said, man, I need some meat on my sandwich, man. Yeah, man, let's put something between that bread, man. Put something between that bread, man. You know, some lettuce and tomatoes too, man. Let's make that thing fat. I got you, bro. You say peace to the RGC and you, Bub, and your family. Right back to you, bro. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam. All right. Take care of your boo, man. Take care of your boo. All right. I see you, Raymond Skull, man. 102. Shout out to the Rays, man. To my brother, man, Roscoe, man, and his family. Good to see you up in here, bro. You say salute to your homie and to the Royal Group congregation. That's what it is, and that's what it's going to be, man. We paying homage, you know. And at the same time, man, we're gonna deliver to some of those who need delivering. You know what I mean? Not necessarily deliverance, but we got to deliver to these brothers and sisters, man. Real spit. You have to start, you know, speaking truth to power, man. Telling each and every one of them just how messed up. Let's be 100, man. Our lives are. We're in a bad way, you know. We're in a bad way. And there's a lot behind this, you know. One thing I do know is this, man. There are factors at work, man, to keep us in the position that we're in. This is done intentionally. Like I said, you know, a lot of what we go through is manufactured, man. It's put there before us to create not necessarily a scenario, but it's put there to create a certain existence, you know. A mindset, you know, it's there for us to not improve, but, you know, regress, to be less than what we are. We got to see that, man, for what it really is. And it's all bad. It's all bad. All right. Vern LeQuinine, I hope I said that right. Said, man, jealous, bro. I don't know what Cam fixed that. I don't know what you mean by that, man. Break that down for me, brother. But in any respect, man, you're more than welcome to be here. This is Undergroove Podcast. We are touching bases with the people. We do this every Monday through Friday. That's the title of it, Touching Bases with the People. Today is Tough Love Thursday. So, you know, you coming up in here, man, be ready to dispense some tough love to the people, man. You know, because we cuddling. We doing too much cuddling. We coddle, we're coddling grown-ass men and women. We treating them like babies, and that's part of the problem, man. Stop doing this. Stop doing it. Let's hit them with some truth, man. Truth to power. And we ain't thinking about no feelings today. We thinking about getting the point across to these individuals or people. Hey, man, it's time to stop playing games. It's time to stop playing games. Wasting time, you know. Brothers and sisters are dying for nothing, going to prison for nothing, out here on these streets doing absolutely nothing. But I promise you, and you, most of you know this, they'll tell you, man, I don't know, or we don't know what we talking about. They get in a bag. Man, if you don't quit playing, you don't quit playing, man. That ain't happening. All right, Rakufu, I see you up in here, man. You say word for today is afflatus. Afflatus. All right. Come on. When you bring that in here, you already know, bro. Back that up with a sentence so that we know how to use it, you know, correctly. All right. Come on, man. Do your damn duty, man. I got a couple of clips. All right. And I want to drop these clips because I think they're significant. One in which speaking truth to power, you know, we speaking truth to power in one of them, and another one is a short rap called the 10 reparations or the 10 reparation commandments. I think it's tight. I liked it. I thought it was good enough, man, to bring to the show, to the platform, to the channel, man, so the people can get a bar of it. So yeah, man, I got that up in there, man. We're gonna drop that momentarily. Afflatus definition is a sudden, divine, or intellectual inspiration, and almost breathed in creative force that drives insight or expression. Afflatus, afflatus, all right? A sudden divine or intellectual inspiration and almost breathed in creative force that drives insight or expression. The scholar's argument carried the force of afflatus as if the idea had arrived through him rather than from him. Yeah, all right, there you go. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. Now look, man, I've been busy today. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm downtown, man, in the studio, man, doing what I do. And just I do when I go in there, man, I go in there for a purpose. I go to do what I, supposed to do, put together some content, man, try to make the best I can make it, to, dispense to the masses, man. And then from that point, I started doing a little research. I like to read, I still, shit. It's one of my things, man. I love to read. So I got stuck doing that for like 2 hours, you know what I mean? Just boom, just, taking it in, right? Reading everything it was for me to read. And once I got through with that, I do a little social media surfing. But don't get me wrong, I don't surf those channels that dispense the BS. I steer clear of them. I got homies who got channels. I don't even watch them no more. You know what I mean? I'm cool on that because it's the same old, But I tend to go and find that content, which I know for a fact is what we're missing on social media. I go to find it, man, and I say, okay, man, this is good enough. I want to plant this or instill this in the get down. So that's what I do every day also, all right? I went and found some shit I want to drop. So that being said, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to go in there in a hot second, and we're going to play this thing, man. We're going to let that thing do what it do. Let it do what it do. All right, Lisa Moore, I see you, Queen. She said, Grand Rising, Big Brother Bub, blessings to you and the family, peace and love to the kings and queens in the RGC. B1, Black first. So again, Black first. Black first. In our communities, we forget or we don't know any better, in terms of pushing Black first. That doesn't mean you can't be African American, Black American, FBA, or whatever you choose to be, colored, Negro, whatever. That's not saying, hey, man, get rid of that or do away with that. Nah, that ain't what we're saying. And we like to push the point that Black first just means exactly that. Put Black first, man. Put Black first. That's it. That means put us, the people, first over everything else. Over everything else, man. Because again, if we don't do it, no one else is going to do it. They're not going to put us first. They're going to make sure we're last. It's quite evident, right? Queen Nzinga 74 said, man, happy Friday Eve to the kings and queens. To the kings and queens. Whoa. In the chat, excuse me. All right, appreciate you dropping in, Queen Nzinga. Yeah, real spit. All right, let me drop this, man. I want to play this right quick because I found it important. I found it significant. And this is what we do. The podcast started out, for those of you who don't know, talking about gang culture. You know what I mean? Going back to the history or the inception of the Hoover Crips. All right, coming into this project, I knew that eventually the channel would and it should evolve, because I think there's only so much we can get from that without seemingly to glorify the history of gang culture. You know what I mean? And that's not the intent. That's not something I want to glorify, but we did start out talking about the history, the beginnings or the inception of the Hoover Crips, how that all came to be. Again, though, our idea was to evolve. And that's what, we supposed to be doing as men and women, Black, melanated people. We're supposed to evolve. We're not supposed to be stuck or stagnant. You know what I mean? So I didn't think it was wise to stay stuck in talking about, or stay stuck by talking about gang culture. You know, I don't see any benefit in that. What's the purpose? You know, you talk about the history. Once that's discussed, you know, once that's put out there, hey, move on. You know, now how do we correct a lot of what that gang culture has brought to our communities? You know, that's the objective. Getting to the point where, man, we got to find a way, figure out a way, or get a solution to turning this thing around to whereas it does something for us in the positive. It brings something to us that empowers us, you know what I mean? That helps us or aids and assists us to excel. That's the business. That's the business, you know what I mean? So this is what we own, man. Under the Groove Podcast, again, it has a meaning, a definition, and it ain't what a lot of people think. Under the Groove, oh, that's some Hoover shit. Nah, man. You know, I define it as a vibe, you know, a certain vibe, you know, that groove is a certain vibe, a frequency even, you know. That's how I describe or define that, you know. Under the groove, what's under it? What's under your get down? There has to be a foundation. And if there's not one there, then build one. Create one for yourself so you can stand erect. You know, you have something under your feet that'll hold you up, you know, because you're going to need some under your feet that's stable and solid to hold you up or be able to carry the weight that eventually is going to fall on your shoulders, or that you'll be carrying around as a result of the lives we're living, man, and what we're going through in society, what we're experiencing. You get me? That's what I mean by that. So, yeah, man, it was only it was meant to be that it did not stay in terms of what a lot thought it would be or how it started out to be. It was never my idea to carry that, you know, like that. You know, now I don't think that's worthy to be given to the people like that. Like I say, the history, okay, now we divulged that. We know the history. Now, what are we going to do as a result of everything we've been through because of it? And I'm not just talking about the Hoover Crips or the Hoover criminals. I'm talking about all Crips, Bloods, you know, the whole nine, the gang culture. You know, I'm talking about the devastation it has wreaked on our communities. All right. How do we correct this? How do we rebuild from it? How do we construct our temples on this rubble, man, that we caused, that we created, we brought to our communities? How do we do that? What do we need to do? Part of that get down, I think, is to start having discussions and conversations, dialogues, and debates about the solutions in terms of what needs to be done and how we bring change to our communities, man. That's it. That's it. That's all. Again, I don't care about none of that other shit. I love my community. Real spit. I don't like what the hell is going on in it. I'm not with that. You know, been there and done that. And I'm here to say, man, to those who are over there coming up after all those of us who, you know, brought that destruction, you know, to help tear down our community, man, it ain't worth it. Ain't nothing in it. I ain't got nothing for it, man. And I'm pretty sure every other individual like me from Hoover Street, and in fact, let me stop saying Hoover Street, any individual, Crip, Blood, otherwise, man, have nothing to show for this BS, man, that we've been a part of for the last 50 something years, since 1969. We have nothing to show for it. So what sense does that make? Make it make sense. Most of us can't. All right. Most of us don't even know where to start. You know, that's the truth. That's the truth, man. So that being said, listen, I'm gonna go on and jump in this thing, like I said, man, and let it do what it do. Rakufu, right quick. You said, hold on. I got a clip for you, bub. I will drop the title here. Next post. Hold up. Alonzo goes on to say, peace to the ladies of the RGC. I hope you and your families are well, Queens. Yeah, that's good homage, man. A good way to pay your respects and love to the sisters. Lisa Moore said, blessings to you, brother Alonzo. So, I don't know. Vernal Quinine, too much jealousy to put black first and sucker shit. All right. Too much jealousy to put black first and sucker shit. Hey, that's some truth. That's some truth. We too much tripping or jealous, envious of our own kind, man. And you know, a lot of us indulge in sucker shit to have black come before all that. That, you know, that's what they represent, and that's what a lot of our brothers and sisters are pushing. Jealousy and sucker shit. That's the truth. That's truth to power. All right. That being said, what can be done? What can we do to start changing the mindset? Because that's a mindset, bro, right? How do we go about changing the mindset of those individuals? Well, some of them I already know. We know we're not going to be able to reach. They are stuck in that mindset. But then what about those who aren't too far gone? How do we go about, man, changing the mindset of these individuals? You know, having them eradicate jealousy and envy, you know, coveting, or, you know, what another one of our people got. You know what I mean? How do we get brothers and sisters to get beyond sucker shit so that we can get to the point, man, where we're dealing with some real live progressive get down, you know, something positive, empowering, you know, some uplifting, something that will help us to excel. What do? We know what the problem is. No doubt. No doubt, man. That's the problem. All right. No doubt, man. Appreciate that comment, Vern. I'm going to say Vern, man, if that's all right. I appreciate it. And then you're going to say we need power. We need power, and G14 has that. Help me out with that, bro. All right. Fix that if you can. I don't want to misread anybody's stuff. I don't want nobody to be offended because, you know, I'm reading it how I see it. But we need power, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. We need power, though. Yeah. And we say this often here, Vern. Power is in the people. We actually possess the energy, you know, the kinetic flow, man, the whole get down, man, to change or improve ourselves and improve our ways, man. It's just a matter of, you know, individuals deciding to do that. You know what I mean? It's a lot to contend with, though. We have to acknowledge that as well. There's a lot out there in terms of distractions, in terms of those things that keeps us ignorant of how we're really presenting ourselves, you know, and how we're really hurting any progress that we may have an opportunity at, you know, taking advantage of, you know. So yeah, man, holla, man, holla. I see you up in there, Fat Rat. Well, you early again today. Salute, bro. You say peace to you and the RGC, Big Bub, man. What it do? You say that. What do you say to the idea that game banging was training? That's why I like you, though, bro, because you know it's you and a lot of us in here, man. We drop them jewels, man, and gems that are thought provoking. All right. Now, in terms of your question, and I've thought about this because I'm sure you have. That's why you hit me with it. These have been discussions we've had over the years in the stoops as well as on the streets. You know, it may sound odd, but yeah, there are certain things you can learn as a result of that culture. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I don't think it's a matter of inappropriate training. You know, I don't know. I want to say this just right. The training is inappropriate. You know what I mean? It really doesn't speak to or concern or deal with those issues that really, really affect each and every one of us. It's the training is not geared towards um using that training or directing what we've learned in terms of training towards those who that training need to be exercised on. You know what I mean? Um, what do I say to the idea that game banging was training? I say, man, um, there's truth to that. There's truth to it. You know, game banging brought a lot of insight to not everybody, let's be honest, but to certain individuals who understood not just who got who received comprehension in terms of where they were and why that training was necessary. All right. However, the training though was misappropriated. It was misused. You know what I mean? Training of there's all sorts of training, warfare, political, you know what I mean? Just all sorts of training, you know what I mean? In terms of all the training we've all received, Fat Rat, that includes you, me, and every other brother and sister that was involved in that training, had training as a result of that culture. We misappropriated it. That's not to say, well, that's to say we misused the training. I say the training, man, is necessary, being where we are, dealing with what we've been dealing with. And then let's be quite clear. What we been going through, others before us have went through. It's the same cycle. We're in the same get down. The training, though, that we received as game bangers was not utilized in such a way to where it helped us to not escape a certain system, but to break it, to go to war against it, to collapse it, dismantle it, or have it in such a way where it doesn't affect us. We didn't use our training for that. We received some good training. I have to say that, but again, it's like I said, hey, I love my community because as a part of my community, I learned, I learned a lot of skills and things, you know what I mean? But as a result of that, I misused those skills. I misused the training. I didn't utilize the training to its righteous potential. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the sense that where, again, I didn't apply that training to those who needed to get a bar of what I learned. You know what I mean? The energy, the direction was misguided in terms of the training I received. Let me put it like that. But to answer your question, I say wholeheartedly, man. I say wholeheartedly that the training, it was actually significant. It's just that we applied it wrong. We didn't utilize it correctly. I know things as a result of that training I probably wouldn't have known had I not come up in that type of environment. You get what I'm saying? Again, that training, it consisted of, one educating him or herself, one learning, knowing how to protect and defend him or herself. It's just so many aspects to it. And they all were not negative. They were only, again, they were only negative. They were only wrong because of how we applied the training. And we applied the training against our own. That's what makes it bad. I hope, I like to think that I made my point clear, the training is with me to this day, to this very day. There are things I learned, man, I will not forget. I know how to break them down, put them back together, keep them clean, keep them ready. I know how to, utilize them, use them correctly. I know all that. That was a part of my training coming up. That's crazy, but it was. I know how to defend myself, how to protect myself and my family if need be. That was a part of our training. We were trained to defend streets we didn't own, but more to the point, we were trained to defend the people in the community. You know what I mean? I was trained, man, to know how to comprehend and, see through bullshit, or be able to understand politicking, just a whole lot of shit, man. I was also trained, man, in how to be not necessarily reactionary, not quick to act, but to be patient, know when to act and when to fall back. That was all part of my training, a part of our training for those who took that training to heart, to mind, So that's what I say about the idea that game banging was, was training. And it was, but again, there are aspects of it that were negative. All right. There were aspects of game banging, the training in terms of becoming a game banger, being a full-fledged one, a reputable one, whatever. It was negative. All right. So it's, man, there's a duality to it. It stabbed and it cut. You know what I mean? Glass is half full, half empty in terms of, how that was, how we looked at it, how we dealt with it. Damn, just a thought. Yeah, it's messed up, man. We didn't take advantage of the training the way we should have. Let me know, man, what you think, man. And tell me, give me your side of it as well, Fat Rat. Appreciate you, though. All right, man. Let's say L Dub, I think it starts with the music and TV/internet. Let's be more precise or specific. Not internet per se, but social media. And I think there's a difference. I think there is a difference between internet and social media. But no doubt, music, television, and social media has had a negative impact on each and every one of us. And you don't have to be a game banger to have been affected by the negativity that's portrayed on these platforms or through these platforms, or through these, these genres of music, for instance, rap. Rap ain't even rap no more, man. It's all murder music. Ain't brothers and sisters are talking about absolutely nothing. What they're doing is setting up the generations that are coming up behind us for failure. And again, man, let's call a duck and a spade a spade. I can only say that truthfully because I was a part of that. It's only now that I see the harm or the damage I brought to my community and others, and to be quite honest, we didn't have internet. We didn't have social media to spur us on or to influence us to be the way we were. There were other factors at play. You get me? Even back then, the music was nowhere near what we hear today. The music I'm raised on, man, is oldies, man. It says 70s soul, oldies, 70s soul, old school hip hop, old school rap, blues, jazz, and none of that spoke about the decimation of the people by the hands of the people. You know what I mean? None of that. Television, we didn't see on television brothers killing brothers. There were a few shows back in the 70s where, they were crime shows, more specifically like police type shows, and, the criminal element, trying to make a living, however they expressed it or try to explain it. That was that, but for the most part, most of the shows we watched, they were shows that evolved around poverty in our communities, man, the struggle. Good Times, That's My Mama, man. I could go on and on to the break of dawn, man. White Shadow, all those shows. And we're talking about black shows, the Jeffersons. They were all about the struggle. There was no what they call nowadays black on black crime, man. And that's some bullshit too. All right. as a matter of fact, I have a clip about that, so we're gonna drop that in a minute. But yeah, when you're talking about Dub, um, it starts with the music. It started with the music, TV/social media. I think you're correct. Again, in our time, we didn't have that. When we raced home to watch television, man, it was something that we got a laugh out of. You know what I mean? That we were able to. It resonated with us because of the experiences we were going through. And again, at that time, there wasn't what we see going on that's happening now. That's a fact. And again, there was no such thing as the internet. Our television programs were totally different. You don't see what we see on television now. Our sisters and brothers interact with each other, man. Everything is either a lick or it's all good. The infidelity, all this stuff we see that paints or gives the impression that it's okay. This is the culture, so it's cool to be this way. It wasn't about chasing a bag, big fat gold chains, big pistols, and assault rifles, flashy ass cars, wads of money, disrespecting the sisters in the community, the elderly in the community. It wasn't that, straight up. And hey, man, straight up. That wasn't it. So we have to acknowledge that when these things started to affect us was in a certain era, a certain decade. And again, that shouldn't be hard to point at. The truth is, man, when the 80s hit, that's when it hit us. That's when it hit us. And a lot of us, man, forgot about poverty because we were selling rocks, but still living in squalor. You know what I mean? But we were selling rocks, still living in squalor, but decimating the community at the same time. The 80s, rap music began to take a turn. All of a sudden, the B word, the N word was just out there. Hey, I'm gonna shoot a ninja down, and F a witch. That was what rap brought to the game, or to our situation, our experience. We began to not care about the community and those in it, though we were running around talking about we were representatives of it. At the same time, we were tearing it down. We were destroying our shit, man. We were killing each other. That happened in the 80s, man. For us, that's what I can recollect. It's not to say shit wasn't going on in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s with brothers and sisters all over this country in terms of the game, or the hustle or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how this shit really changed. See, because when it affected us in Los Angeles in the 80s, guess what? It affected everybody else throughout the country. It spread it. There was no respect. There was no more love. There wasn't even dignity anymore, So from drugs to rap music, and then the television programs begin to change, they begin to change drastically, and then in comes the internet, or more appropriately or accurately, social media. So we've been for at least 4 decades, almost 5 decades, man. Almost 5 decades of being just destroyed, tore down. And the coldest part about all this shit is that we've been a party to it. Can't deny it. So Dub say, man, I think it starts with the music and TV, internet. And we have to condemn this garbage as a community and address the ones we can reach. Salute to you, my bro. And that's the consensus we're coming to. Because a lot of our brothers and sisters, damn, man, they've taken to it. And again, I can relate to an extent. They don't want to be saved. I can relate. You know, and I'm just one of millions of our brothers and sisters who can now relate. We had to go be sat on a shelf. And it was only because of that we were able to reflect, look back, and say, damn, man, we was doing this shit. We can look back and see from there to now the damage that fuck bringing something to the table, the damage that we brought to the communities. Yeah, man. Yeah, we can't save everybody, man. I would love to think that, that I'm romanticizing, man. I would love to save all our brothers and sisters, man. But some of us don't want to be saved. Some of us are caught hook, line, and sinker. You can't tell them no different, man, that this ain't the life. They'll shoot you for saying it. That's bad. Raymond Skull, man, he said, man, we have to dive into that chaos, not fall into, but dive, remaining conscious of our nature and purpose. Then we show these youngsters the truth through education and reasoning. Vern said, man, how our own personal time with God to find ourselves. Have our own personal time with God to find ourselves. All right, that's one way to look at it. All right. That's one way to look at it, and the other is, yeah, man, we have to tap in to self first. Another thing I want to add, and it may be disagreeable to some, but religion is also an issue. It's also an issue in our communities. It's done nothing for nobody in the community. It hasn't helped the community with all the churches we have in all of our communities. What's the result? What has religion or the church or religion, what has it done for the community? How has it helped any of us? So yeah, it more to the point, be more of a personal thing. And that's where it should be. It should be personal, But aside from that, we have to acknowledge that, man, we as individuals, whether we're dealing with God or not, if we're just dealing with self, then yes, still, we have to take responsibility. We have to be accountable. Even if you're dealing with a Godhead or God figure, you individuals who do still have to be accountable. You still have to be accountable as part of the process in terms of connecting with your God. You have to be, you have to be. So again, aside from religion, as individuals, we have to be accountable, whether we into the God thing or not. We have to be accountable, man, for our actions, Fat Rat said, man, in the climate of 1969, Burns said, man, we need to get rid of that 1960 Christian mentality. There's a whole lot, man, that we have to get rid of. Absolutely. And again, just my opinion. And I say this respectfully. I'm not here to offend anyone in terms of whatever it is that they find a connection with to help get them through this process that we all know, man. It's a rough process for the people, man. Again, respectfully, I say, man, religion is part of the problem. It's a part of the problem, man. And again, we have to find our way, even if that takes getting to God. You know what I'm saying? You still got to deal with yourself in order to be able or be in a position to do what's right by that God you worship. You have to get your shit together. You have to make that effort. You got to bring yourself to God, righteously, that's just what it is. And by the same token, we can do that, dealing with our own self. And I'm just suggesting, they don't have to always be that. we as individuals, we can do that ourselves. You know, find righteousness in ourselves first. You know, and you know. All right, Motivation Murray, what it do, loved one? He say motivation bub, Motivation Murray bub. All right. He say salute from Texas, man. Right back to Texas, man. The Lone Star State, our brothers and sisters, kings and queens, man, down that way, man. You know, peace and prosperity, each and every one of you. All our brothers in Fort Worth, Austin, Dallas, Houston, you know, and all other spots in between and them on the outside, man. Peace and prosperity, each and every one of you brothers and sisters. Get it done, man. Henry say, man, some people have made it a career to keep themselves involved with street life and the politics that come with it. Gangs was started by teenagers, and a lot of us get older and still act like a teen. You know, they were saying, man, you know, as a child, you played with, you know, childish things, you know, but when you grow up, you get rid of, you know, you put aside those childish things, you know what I mean? Yeah, we got a lot of brothers that do that. And again, I to some extent, I have to say, I get it. It's love for the community they come from. But I think though, again, it's like our training. In fact, right, I asked about the training of, you know, the gang culture, the training in the gang culture. It's what we do with it. You know what I mean? So if you're still representing at an age where you shouldn't be, you know, how are you representing it? What are you doing? You mean to tell me you still in these kids' ear and tell me, yeah, man, that shit that happened last week, that ain't cool. Yeah, we don't like that shit. I get it. But man, the wrong way to go about it is to holler in these youngsters' ear and talking about, hey man, nah, you know, we can't let that slide. We can't let them go, you know, like, damn, man. There's that. So yeah, grown as, you know, a lot of us we're still involved in that. You know, we sidle up on them, say, man, y'all handle that. Y'all gonna handle that, you know. I'm not one to do it. I don't like a lot of shit. Of course not. But I don't think that's the solution. All that does is perpetuate the problem. You know? So rather than tell or suggest to these kids, man, hey, man, go handle that, man, you know, clean that up, you know, man, make that right, you know, make the set look good, whatever. So, hey, man, check this out, man, this happened because A, B, and C. Be straight up. Be straight up. A, B, and C, man, is why that occurred. Tell the truth. But don't do it or don't, you know, dispense or disseminate some information to them that makes or perpetuates the problem. Give them, you know, a direction that leads away from that, you know, that ensures that they're not the next one, or they're not one that's, you know, responsible for somebody else being the next one, you know? I don't know, man. All right, Henry. Appreciate you coming in like that, man. Powerful. Raymond Skull, man, Simon, the chaos is the nature of our sections. Again, the chaos is the nature of our sections. However, there are some great youth who can be reached. I agree. Our purpose is to reach them and uplift them from that chaos with the intent to redirect their purpose. Appreciate you, man. You're going to say, I did exactly what you did, bub. I corresponded with Tretch and Evil in 1996. They introduced me to new schools of thought, but I was 19 and too immature to properly apply it. I misapplied the information. And that's something we have a habit of doing, you know, especially growing up in that culture. You know, I tell the story of how me and the loved one, we hit Soledad Prison back in mid-80, 1980, 85. And man, we were around structure and real live authority. We didn't know no better, though. We come off the streets, man, thinking we was the shit. We come off the streets, man, you know, being involved in whatever it was we were doing. And we thought that, hey, man, damn what you talking about. You know, we learned real quick that was not tolerated. That, you know, that was something, you know, what we thought we could say freely was not tolerated, was, you know, not something they even, you know, played with. And I have to say, man, I appreciate getting that tough love. I do. It actually prepared me. It took a little time, I have to say, but it prepared me. It prepared me, you know. Um, it could have done way better. It could have been more useful early on, like you're saying, Roscoe, had I just listened and not let my youthful exuberance, you know what I mean, just, you know, get the best of me, you know. Again, it was the mindset. It was what was put there in the community we come from, where all that chaos exists. So yeah, it you know, it lasted, you know, a little while. It lasted a little while, you know. But yeah, man, there that is. That's truth to power right there, man. You know, once, you know, again, it's about the individual deciding. And let's just say this truthfully, man. Age is just a number. You know what I mean? Because we have brothers and sisters who are 19 and, hey, man, they are prepared. They're ready for the world. You know what I mean? That's not something an excuse, you know, that they would even find, you know, worthy of using. You know what I mean? But the truth is, yeah, a lot of us did fall to that. We were immature. We weren't ready. We weren't ready. You know, Jim Brown. Is that the OG Jim Brown, the real deal Jim Brown, tapping in the Under the Groove podcast? If so, man, salute. But I know it's not. Hey, you say, what's up, bud? What's up? Right back to you, JB. Good to see you up in here, brother. This is Under the Groove podcast, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to this Get Down, all right? Like, share, follow, and come on in the comments, you know? Come on in the comments. You guys' participation and your viewership right now, we appreciate it. It's appreciated. Today, we are touching bases with the people. This is Tough Love Thursday, all right? Tough Love Thursday. So we're going to get into this shit like we should. Henry say maniac music, no doubt. Fat Rat said, man, I'm riding with you 100% on your assessment, Big Bub. There's things I learned that are applicable in my righteous endeavors right now. So that training, it actually it had significance. It, you know, it actually was good for something, because now, especially now, we know how to apply it, you know. Damn, but just imagine, Fat Rat, if we had really, you know, comprehend, you know what I mean, understood, man, how that should have been applied back then, you know. But, you know, here we are, man. All right, I'm gonna call you C and B, man. You didn't went in, boy. No, this almost look like this C1. C1 away. This our girl. Oh, that's exactly who that is. All right. Oh man. C1 said, man, I'm locked up in the mental hospital, but I'm here. I love you, Uncle. Kiss Auntie for me. We love you back. You know, let me say this, C1, and I mean this. I really do. You have the power over you. You have the power over you, not the circumstance, you know, not these things that exist around us, outside of us, that makes our lives difficult and sometimes seemingly unbearable. You have the power. That's you. It's yours. The power is in you. All right? Utilize that power to make you right, make you better, make you happy with you. Don't let nothing else affect you. Don't allow it. Work hard at it, all right? Work hard at it. Give every bit of what you got to fight against all that's trying to dismantle you. All right? Work on that. You got this. We send our love out to you, sister. We miss you. We've been asking about you for a week now. All right? You can do this. Trust in yourself. Tap in. Tap into that source and that energy, all right? Align it, man, with that mind, that brain you got. Hell of a brain you got. So I know that spirit, that soul is 10 times that. Line them up. Align them. Make them work together, man, for you. All right? You can do that. We love you. Miss seeing you. Glad you're all right. Glad you're here. All right? What's that? Glide 21 said, man, I love good times. Who didn't? Right? And I'm telling you, good times, man. It resonated with all us, just in everybody growing up back then were not just living in abject poverty. All right. Let me just make that clear. But there was something about good times we all could relate to. Even the Jeffersons, though, George Jefferson, he had his own cleaning business. He living high on the hall, he's doing good things, but his experiences, what he went through as a black man with a little bread, him having a little bread did not exclude him or keep him from experiencing the shit that those of us didn't have nothing was going through as well. You know what I mean? What's that other one? That's My Mama. And there's another one. All these shows resonated with us, and they all had similar themes. The themes were all similar. That's why they connected with us. And then come to find out, a black man actually wrote the scripts and came up with these characters, these shows. Let Them Tell It. Norman Lear, a Jew or Jewish guy, supposedly was the creator of these shows. And it was a lie, man, the whole time. Those shows came from a black mind, from a melanated brain, man. Because only somebody, man, melanated could tell them stories like that. You know what I mean? Could write or create scripts like that. They can't do that. They can't do that. But all this time, at the end of all the credits, or when the credits start rolling, at the end of them, you see Norman Lear, And I recall growing up, man, I'm in prison by this time. I always want to know who the hell was that. Come to find out, it's one of them people. And for the most part, it was all them people who were putting their names as the creators of these shows that we associated with, that resonated with us. And the whole time it was a damn lie, man. It was a damn lie. A black man had written these shows. But that's nothing new. Even in today's time, we see the same thing going on. Those shows that click with us. Come to find out, these were scripts or shows created by our people. But yeah, man, good times. Who didn't love good times, man? Come on. All right, I see you in there, CMB. I'm gonna still say C1. C1 Awaken, all right? Oh, you say I changed my name again. Yes, sometimes we do that, like we change clothes. We should, we identify, whatever that is, you know what I mean, for that day, that week, that month, whatever. It's evolving, it's called, evolving. You progressing, you're going through a process. By all means. Motivation Murray said, man, my family from Nacogdoches, East Texas, Galveston, Louisiana, California. Big bro, I was trained as well. Everything else I went, Groove, it surprised them. All right. Laced and braced, huh? Henry said, man, even in all the family sitcoms, the actor that played Archie Bunker and the producer wanted to show the racism from white people at the time. Yeah. What was that? All in the Family. You know, All in the Family. Not only was he racist, that mug was an abuser. He abused that lady. I forget her name. Edith. And she was so docile, knew her place. And he expected the same anytime he saw a black man or woman come on the show. That was the script, how they wrote it. You know, he wanted to make sure they knew their place, you know. Yeah, that was a racist show. Everybody knew Archie Bunker or All in the Family was a racist show. You know, not only that, but he was a chauvinist, you know. He was abusive verbally, psychologically. And, though it was a show, it probably depicted the households of many of them people and how they treated their women. So only thing that was left out was the misogyny and or the physical violence. You know what I mean? But yeah, no doubt, man. That's what they wanted. And that's why they put it up there, you know. C1 said, or C1 Awaken said, back to the reg. All right. Keep it regular. Whatever's for shall both, sister, okay? Henry said, man, right, white Christians hanging black Christians from trees. And again, you see, people quick to say, oh, man, wait. It's not the religion. It's the people. I beg to differ. That's just me. I beg to differ. When we look at religion, man, and especially in the text, these, the tenets, the religious texts, ain't nothing but death and destruction up in there, man. Whole lot of death and destruction. And it's being preached, part of the scripture, the word in Bible is it's okay to smite your enemy. It's okay to turn on them. In fact, it's okay to turn on your own. So yeah, man, I don't know, man. I just think it's detrimental. It's detrimental. That's what I think. All right, Chris, see you up in there, man. He say B1, y'all, black first. Good to have you tonight, bro. Good to have you tonight. Lonzo say, man, Lonzo, what to do, loved one? He said, man, can't claim righteousness if not moving righteously. There it is. So just look around us, man, in terms of those who say or profess to be following in the righteous footsteps of whatever God they worship. Look at the get down. And I'm an advocate of this. I say all the time, I say, hey, man, damn what an individual say. What are they doing? What are they doing? How are they living? What's going on in their lives? How are they treating their wives? How they treat the family? Is it righteous? That's what matters. That's what matters. I don't care about the bull crap, what's being said, man, because again, a pair of lips to say anything. But what are you doing? What is being done? What are these individuals? What are we doing that would indicate, okay, man, we on some righteous shit, man. How I live my life, man. I want to live it right. And I tell you guys again, it took me a long time to get to this. And I'll be still on my neck about that. Like, man, how the hell did it take so long to get to the point where I see what's right and what's wrong? And I can see that not being attached to religion. I don't need religion to tell me what's right or wrong, what's righteous and what's wicked, what's good or what's bad. In fact, we have that in us. It's innate. It's inherently in us to know the difference, to know which is which. you know, and you don't need a God to tell you that or scripture to tell you that. It's in you. It's already been placed there by whoever, whatever. Fact of the matter is, it's there. All right. Queen Nzinga say, hey, C1, good to see you. We've missed you. Love you. All right. Lonzo, I don't know if this is part of what you were saying, Lonzo. You say can't claim righteous if not moving righteously. And then you say, go pick up a book. Vern said, man, I appreciate the feedback, OG. No, we appreciate your presence, loved one. You know, again, everybody, y'all know what it is, man. But, you know, our numbers are good. That's good. And we don't do it per se for the numbers. Let's get that straight. We don't take money from the people. Let's get that straight. You know what I mean? This ain't that. This ain't what a lot of, you know, our brothers and sisters are used to seeing and hearing on social media. We don't want your money. You know, we would rather have the participation, you know, the joining together, you know what I mean? Get down with this like we would, or like a lot of our people do with, you know, participating with the system or participating with the BS we know is taking place in our communities. We're looking for those souls. We want those souls to come on in and get down with us on this, you know? So again, we just appreciate all of you who come up in here and hang out with us like you do. Straight up. Sam Evans said, man, structure will save your life, bud. Be one. Tell the truth, homie. Tell the truth. No lie. Roscoe said, Henry said, Roscoe, and that is real mature of you to say that to family. You see the growth. Yeah. You see the growth. Motivation Murray said, man, we have to make a positive change in a way for those who look up to us. And we got to know, man, our young ones look up to certain individuals in the community, man. Don't be fooled, y'all, that think that all of them is following this BS, man. They admire this BS, man. Again, we said this before. A lot of our youngsters, man, a lot of our young ones, man, they're not dummies, man. They really not. No more than we were. We could be ignorant. You know what I'm saying? We could be ignorant, but they're not dumb. Far from dummies, man. So yeah, they know. They look up to certain individuals, you know, who they know are worthy of recognition, you know, and respect. That real shit, you know. James, Henry say, James Amos, RIP, the father of the good times, asked the producers to show them elevating and moving out the projects. And they told him he didn't have to return. Yeah. And you know, Esther had a falling out with him as well, because they wanted to portray James as a shiftless, lazy individual. And they were all like, nah, man, that ain't the get down, you know. They fought tooth and nail for that, you know. And then you kind of understand why. Remember, James Amos, you know, he was. It got to the point where he was missing in some of the episodes, and they made, he had to go. He had a job out of state, you know what I mean, shit like that, you know. And that's when we begin to figure out that they were trying to write him out of the whole get down, you know. Yes, Chris, exactly. Trailer Park, man. Trailer Park, man. And you know, most of them, they got that little lazy boy chair right there, you know. A can of beer, sit up and talk about everybody but them damn selves. You know, they got to complain about everybody but themselves. They so perfect, you know. Yeah, exactly, bro. Ro Ross said, organized religion is a major problem in the Black community. Here. Thank you for that. Ro Ross, you seem to be new in this get down. This is Under the Groove Podcast. Welcome, brother. This is Touching Bases with the People, Monday through Fridays, all right, from 6:15 to whenever I get that text from the wife, say, hey, time to shut it down. But hey, you are touching bases with us. The Royal Group congregation is up in this thing, man. What we do, we tend to focus on the focus and have organic conversations for the most part about everything that affects us, the melanated, you know, persuasion. All right. That's not to say that we don't allow or we, others can't come in. You do come in understanding, man, that this is a conversation, man, that is being put out there by mostly us. You got something positive to say, come on in. One thing about that though, if you got something positive to say, keep it respectful. You can go back and look at any episode we've done. There's no B words in here, no N words in here, and it's respect. So that's all we ask. All right. More than welcome to be here. Appreciate your presence, brother. All right. Chris say, Bub, our hearts are willing, but our flesh is weak. Yeah. I think though, see, yeah. Is that the way that go? The soul is willing, but the flesh is weak. Yeah, it's similar to that. Yeah. And that's because I think we practice more. We've allowed the flesh to do more than we allow the spirit or the soul to be itself or to come through, work through us. You know what I mean? We allow the flesh to do all that. We don't give the spirit or the soul that same type of play, or that same time. You get it? So yeah, that's true, man. That's true. All right, Bam, I see you up in here, man. I was just talking to the loved one about you today, bro. Peace and prosperity to you, bro. Good to see you back. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate your support. You don't even know the half of it. I was telling the loved one, man, all right, god dang, man, when is me and Bam gonna sit down? And because Bam, hey man, you get it done. And the people need to hear you as much as possible. And you're another one of our brothers, man, who come out of the same, the experience, man. Yours is a little deeper, a little longer, but here you are, man, and you pop positivity for the melanated brothers and sisters, our kings and queens. We got to respect. I respect and love you for that, bro, because you ain't got to, you know what I mean? But here you are, man. Appreciate you. And hey, I already told you, bro, win. Win, Yeah, salute to the chat, Bam, saying, hey, man, peace and prosperity right back to you. Chris say, man, I meant our hearts are willing, but our flesh is weak. Again, though, however you put it, right? It's weak, the flesh, because this is what we entertain, right? Right? We don't utilize the soul as much as we do the flesh. You know what I mean? We don't give it the same time or the same play, energy. We don't allow that energy, man, to emanate, internally, externally, to come out. You know what I mean? We keep it encapsulated. But the flesh, flesh is weak, man, because, we cater to it. We cater to it. So we've made our flesh weak. That's our doing, I think that's our doing. There you go. James Cass say, hey, man, Hub City in this thing. What up, bub? Peace, respect, and love, black man. Right back to you, bro. Good to see you up in here. Peace and prosperity to you and the fam. Yeah, I knew you'd be showing up anytime soon, man. That's just what it is. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And always your presence, man, is welcome. All right. You're going to say salute, man. OG Bam. Love you, big homie. I hope you're well and beyond. I appreciate you, King. Happy Thursday. And my condolences for your loss, big homie. Y'all condolences also, man. Peace, love, and respect to the front brothers. Real spit, bro. Real spit. OG Bam said, man, when I was 10 years old, I met in the airport, and that's just what you're saying. When I was 10 years old, I met in the airport and he gave me $50, said we looked alike. Oh, you met James Amos. Was it James Amos? Yeah, no shit. No shit. You just darker. No shit, though. No shit, bro. Gave you $50. Damn. Bam, say salute, James. Salute, homie. Yep. Fat Rat sending this out to you as well, Bam. James say, man, appreciate you, OG Bam. You and Bub are the finest brothers. We got pushing unity for the community, and we need more. We cannot spell community without unity. All right. Black fist held high. All we need to unite. So again, back to that point, y'all. Ain't nobody gonna do it for us. They don't want to see it done. Uniting us in the community, coming with some unity is the last thing they want. The last thing they want. And they will fight tooth and nail to make sure, or to try, make attempts at making sure that doesn't happen. And this is why we need to be in this fight, man. And again, the majority of us know it. And why we not paying attention to it, why we don't address it, as we should, why we don't war against it is beyond me. It's beyond me. James said, man, I say it again. You cannot spell community without unity. To all of our gangsters, hoodsters, and bangers, stop pumping fear in your neighborhoods. Push peace, love, respect is needed for harmony. Truth to power, bro. Truth to power. You're going to say, man, why do we got to constantly test each other? Why do we have to instill fear into each other? When will this nonsensical behavior end? And that's the $1 million question, bro. Henry said, Big Bam, that latest Kev Mac video, fire. I thought it was the Hood Postman. I just saw you, Bam, the other day. I watched it last night, night before. I thought that was the Hood Postman. If you did another video with Kev Mac, I didn't see it. I think I need to go check. But again, you guys, and I'm not gonna apologize for not seeing it. It's just that a lot of stuff I've stopped watching, but I subscribed to Kev Mac to his podcast. So I didn't get a notification that he had Bam up on the show, man. In any respect, though, man, I do watch Bam's interviews with whoever he get a damn interview with, because I know he gonna set some shit straight, man. Let's put it like that. He ain't gonna leave no stone unturned. Let's put it like that. And he gonna speak truth to power. There you go. Yeah, man. Can't nobody save us but us. That's what Bam says, man. What's tonight at 9, Bam? The interview with Kev Mac? Oh, okay. At 9, you on Kev Mac doing it live? Is it live? I'll go and check it out. Let me know. All right, look here, man. Let's drop this clip up in here, you guys, and check this out now. Pay attention. Well, we always do. It's a good look, man. Listen to this.
He says, how is it when a black...
Oh, shit. What the hell?
man kill a black man, it's not really outrage.
Yeah.
But when a white man kills a black man, it's going to start a riot.
The American media has manipulated the narrative of crime. Black on black crime is a made up thing. You have never heard white on white crime. Never heard the Asian on Asian crime. They have tried to fraction and compartmentalize us to feel as if we're the crime is where we are.
Go ahead.
The lead murderers in America are white men. The lead robbers in America are white men. The largest amount of rapists are white men. The highest number of domestic abusers is white men. The highest number of arrested pedophiles is white men. The greatest number of drug dealers arrested is white men. But if you ask the average American who are the proponents of crime, is a black face to it. They're now trying to create this narrative that the immigrants are bringing in the crime because they never want to own up to what it is that they have done. Part of our responsibility is to pull the sheets off. We had a shooting here in Georgia not long ago. A young man named Colt, 14 years old, went and shot up his high school. His father's now being charged. Can you imagine what conversation me and you would be having if Colt was black and Colt's black father gave him a gun? The television, the internet would explode on the irresponsibility of black fathers, on why it is that young black men have guns and are carrying guns. It has always shifted to make black men feel hyper-aggressive, hypersexual, and hyper-criminalized. It's part of a larger historic original sin of America that always criminalizes and points their fingers at black men when it's absolutely not true. The overwhelming majority, Cam, of black men who are under penal supervision are under penal supervision for nonviolent offenses. They're on ankle bracelets, home monitors, on parole, on probation for possession, not for distribution. It may not sound like it's significant, but it's very meaningful. And so that's why it is that we've got to ask the hard and the difficult questions. Where is criminal justice in America? And is justice just us?
Man. All right. So what y'all think about that? And I got barred at this morning. I said I wanted to play that clip. It was a couple of minutes, almost 3 minutes. What do you think about that? And not only, what do you think in terms of how they depict us, how they, really just criminalize us? When you have a demographic that are more criminal than we are, but they don't portray them that way, So there's that. Now, but also attached to this question, I want to attach to this and ask you guys, what do you think then also about the fact that, in spite of what we see, occurring with those in power and how they, depict us, the fact that we actually do some of the things we do, what about that? Okay, yeah, they're painting us in a certain light. In terms of percentages, we are not the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? However, we are culpable in the respect that we are committing a lot of this stuff against each other. What about that? That's something I thought about, man. When I watched that, I said, wait a minute. Yeah, that's great points he's making. We understand how they get down, but by the same token, we're playing the game. We are participating in this shit. When we know that the end result of what this shit is, man, it's not to benefit us in any shape, form, or fashion. It is to criminalize us. All right. It is to have ankle bracelets on our ankles, ankle monitors on, ankle monitors on our ankles and shit. It is to incarcerate us. It is to have us do shit unnaturally to one another. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me catch up, man. Y'all up in this dizzle. Bam said, man, I love you, bub. I still want my shoes. Man, I already got them shoes, man. Kimberly Mitchell, how's the queen doing? Peace and prosperity to you and your fam, sister. She said, hey, Hoover, hey, real ones, I'm here. All right, good to have you amongst us, all right? Henry said, man, indeed, brother, Bam, I would definitely be there tonight. All right. Bam said, man, listen to this, man. He's spitting facts. Henry said, facts and more facts, brother. They are the masters of manipulation, inventors of trickery, the biggest criminals in America. Salute to you. Lonzo said that was fire, man. Fat Rat Playboy said, man, what does he mean by the original sin of America, Big Bub? What do you think he means by that? I have a couple of thoughts on that. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm breaking it down for you. Put what you think in there as well. Again, let's drop these gems and jewels. Don't be stingy. You know, the original sin, I think the original sin in terms of America is the sin that was committed against us, or the original, you know, that's what I think, you know, what was done to us, you know, and that's what I think that relates to, you know, America's, you know, the sin, the original sin of America, you know, enslaving human beings the way they did, you know what I mean? That's the original sin, you know? That's what I think, you know? Give me your thoughts on that as well, Fat Rat. And Alonzo then jumped in there and said, I think he talking about slavery. Fat Rat said, Alonzo, the extermination of the Native Americans, the extermination of the Native Americans took place before 1555. Bam say exactly. You say the extermination of the Native Americans took place before 1555. And those so-called Native Americans were who? Yeah. Right. All right. Now, I got another clip. And the shit is fire. It's fire, man. I got to drop this right quick, you know, because, you know, time is running out. I want to drop this, man. And y'all tell me what y'all think about this one. I think it's fire. All right. Let me put that in there. Let's get a bar of this. Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, almost messed up. There we go. All right, here you go. Check this out. Listen.
Reparation commandments. A lot of these fake black leaders won't understand it. They just gonna tell you to vote. It's the 10 reparation commandments. A lot of these fake black leaders won't understand it. They just gonna tell you to vote and get nothing. So I'm about to put you on game how to get something. First step is something called SAR. You gotta understand this or you won't get that far. Listen up. It stands for self-administered reparations. This is a key fact to land your foundation. Number 2, open up a tax-free business. If you're a black American, you got a right to get this. Here's an example of mine, so don't stress. And then you'll get a master file with the IRS. Number 3, open up a garnish-free account. You don't need these folks taking all the money you amount. See, the system attacks your money from all angles. So I'ma show you how to be tax-free and stable. Number 4, you never heard this before, but if you own your shack, no more property tax. No more. Number 5, learn about human rights, not civil rights. Civil rights is just permission. Human rights is good for life. Number 6, gotta learn your genealogy, not the DNA test, but the records that they keep. Number 7, understand nationality. As a 14th Amendment slave, you would not be free. Free person applies to white posterity. When they made you a citizen, they took out the word free. Number 8, gotta learn real history. Most of us didn't come off boats originally. Number 9, your reparations is for genocide, not for slavery. And here's the reason why. Our genocide still happen until today. And what else? And they don't need a study like what they trying to say. Number 10, the General Assembly is important. Guidelines for reparation and enforcement. To violate your rights, you get restitution too. And what else? They give you fake history so you don't have a clue. They brainwash your mind. What else? History erased. Then use Asian immigrants so you could be replaced. That's why I'm tax exempt. Here's my receipts and facts. Cause the Constitution says Indians not taxed. With your real identity, you got human rights. The right to self-govern and control your own life. But you gotta be part of a body politic. Common free, I'll show you the process to this. Let's go.
Man. I like that. That shit was fire, man. Yeah, I wanted to hit y'all with that one, man. That's some dope stuff, man. You know, so we talk about reparations, right? And again, truth to power, man. You know, um, just for a lot of us, it ain't gonna happen because we're going about it the wrong way. That's one way to look at it. All right. And again, a lot of us tend to think that reparations comes in the form of money. That they got to kick us off some bread, and that's not really what reparations were about, or the renege, the promise of reparations had nothing to do with money. You know what I mean? I think money may become a factor because as throughout time, from then, the end of the Civil War, where we were supposed to be granted that 40 acres and a mule, till now we have suffered, a lot of injustices. So that's where the monetary aspect of reparations may come into play. I don't know. But yeah, man, in terms of reparations, initially what they are, what they supposed to represent was 40 acres and a mule, But again, we're stuck on a whole lot of stuff we shouldn't be on. There are ways to get what we got coming from these people. And I'm telling y'all, man, I'm trying to figure it out because I want mine, and if there are certain restitutions I can get as a result of whatever wrong was committed against me or to me that I need to be aware of. Hey, man, I need to find a way to get that money, man. That's the truth. But I wanted to drop that. That was called hold on. It's called the 10 Reparation Commandments. All right. It's on YouTube. Y'all can go check that out, man. It's nice though. I enjoyed it. So tell me what y'all think about that one. All right. I'm waiting on you, Fat Rat. What do you say in terms of what you thought that brother was saying in terms of the original sin? Are you saying the fact that they annihilated, exterminated, committed genocide on the real Native American before 1555? Is that what you're saying? And if so, who did that? Who did that? It had to be an established estate, country that did that, or organization to exterminate, a lot of people and then change or erase who they were or change the face of them. That had to be a large undertaking. You know what I mean? That had to have been a large undertaking. So I think a lot Fat Rat is saying the extermination of the Native Americans took place before 1555. I think that's what you're saying. Bam say, man, he just hit us with a sack of realness, man. Lonzo said, hey, man, he sounded good, but I disagree with about every word. All right. All right. Send that to me, bub. Yeah, go on YouTube, Bam, and type up 10 reparations commandments, and it's going to pop right up. The numeral 10 reparations commandments. Yeah. All right, there you go. Henry said, man, Bub, I love how you support educated rappers, man, conscious hip hop. That's my thing to this day. Me and my wife both, we still love that conscious hip hop era, man. Man, X-Clan, all, man, yeah, shit, man. And soon that shit come on, we vibing with it, man, because it got that frequency in it, it's going. But yeah, that's the shit to me, man. And I have to say, all of it, I'm a fan of it. They got some today, and they pretty tight, and I listen to them, But yeah, I gotta have it, man. I gotta have that conscious shit, man. I'm telling you, I go as far as Tupac, because Tupac had a blend, he had a mixture. But if you listen to him, clear enough, well enough, man, yeah, he's spitting some fire. He's spitting some fire, and it's a cold thing, how everything plays out, because you have to think about some things. And I'm speaking about Tupac specifically. were he living, what would be, what would he be doing? Who would he be? You know what I mean? Who would he be right now? That's a question, I'm posing to the RGC. Yeah, man. James say, man, Bub, I listened to strictly late 80s and 90s Compton and South LA rap, the real rhyme and poetry of the streets when brothers and sisters were representing blackness in their lyrics. One, no spit, man, no doubt, true spit. Okay, I got a playlist just full of them. I mean, full of them. James said, man, Tweety Bird Loke, put it down. Kelly's in peace. All right, Frederick Hasby, I see you, bro. Give you that, man, like I should, man. Like I should. Good to see you up in here, man. James said, man, y'all remember how our people straight pushed the black message back in them days? It's all watered down now. And of course, we know why. The slave masters own all the record labels and companies. Yeah, that was the plan. And think about all those brothers and sisters, because there were brothers and sisters who wanted to start not just their own record labels and companies, they wanted to start their own distributions. You know what I mean? Print out their own, CDs, make their own cassettes, print out their own CDs, and pushing, their own music, man, without the big corporations, you know what I mean? But shit, think about that. That got shut down quick. All right, Fat Rat Playboy say, no, Big Bub, their transgression was really sexual immorality, against men and the atrocities done to us in the 64 missing years of that history, 1555 to 1619. Well, yeah, you got me there. Other than the fact, the sexual immorality, man, that goes back. That's part of their lineage. You go back to Greece and Rome. We already know where that come from. But in terms of what you're speaking about, yeah, I'm oblivious to that. I'm ignorant of that. So yeah, point me in the right direction. Let me go get a bar of that. Let me read, what it says about that. All right. America's, original, sin against us. You say again, no, Big Bub, their transgression was really sexual immorality against men and the atrocities done to us in the 64 missing years of that history from 1555 through 1619. All right. Yeah, man, point me in the right direction. I need to go read about that, man, because I'm oblivious to that. You going to say, though, that word slavery is far too moderate a word for describing what happened to us in coming to America. Excuse me. And so here's my question now and then, Fat Rat. So then are you saying in 1555 they were transporting Africans, across the Atlantic? The Middle Passage started then and they were bringing Africans here to North America in 1555? Ships full of slaves. I've done some reading in terms of our people being free men, way before, were here, in fact, before the colonies were established. They were already here. Again, my mom, she made sure that there was a lot about this history of African American history that we, had some type of understanding of back in the day. We had stacks, we had volumes, sets of black encyclopedias, not Encyclopedia Britannica, none of that other shit. You know, these encyclopedias were written by black people. And I specifically recall, yeah, man, before 1619, you know, and maybe even after 1555, blacks were established here, you know, had governments here, you know, and I don't recall in those, you know, those texts reading, you know, something as, you know, damn, as messed up as what you just said, you know. So yeah, please, man, by all means, you know, point me in the right direction. I need to go read that, bro. I need to go read that. Wow. God, need to read that. Glide 21 said, our men got to defeat the lust and addictions. There's the weakness of the flesh. Absolutely. It's a problem. It's gotten so, man, especially speaking in terms of how the flesh has become so weak. We see now more and more of this behavior where brothers are tripping with brothers, are acting, you know, sexual with brothers. It's becoming more and more prevalent, man. And I'll tell you what's sad about that, not just the act itself that these brothers are into, but the fact that now what I think that does in terms of harming us as a people, as a population, is that now these brothers are not fathering. Some are, don't get me wrong now, you know, but our brothers tend to act that way than, you know, be, you know, heterosexual and produce offspring, you know, be heterosexual, produce offspring. It hurts or it harms the proliferation, if you will, the population growth of the people, man, you know. And that's real spit right there. That's a problem, man. So, you know, I don't know. And I just thought about that in terms of what Fat Rat Playboy just mentioned, man, about them, you know, them people, man, and their, you know, depravities, you know. So yeah, our flesh is so damn weak. Again, man, a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what we're latching on to comes from them. These behaviors belong to them. Those are things that throughout their history they've been doing, you know. Again, go read about the Greeks, read about the Romans, the bathhouses and all that shit, you know. So yeah, our flesh is weak because, again, we decided to mimic what we see, you know, learn behavior. And it is as unnatural as it is, man. It's a shock that our people are succumbing to this behavior. And I don't mean to just say the brothers, the sisters. I mean, this shit is just outrageous, man. It's outrageous. And it does something to us as a people. It affects our population, man. You know, with all that they're doing to us, with all that they are doing to us in order to destroy us, there's that. They threw that in there too. How gross, you know? Gross. So not only are the brothers fertilizing, you know, the egg, the sisters don't want the fertilization. You know, the sisters want one. Yeah, you know, it's crazy, man. But the fact is, man, it's damning. It's damning straight up, man. Us, you know, it's not, you know, it's cold shit. James said, man, I personally fully understand the severity of what our people have gone through in those times and to present day. History books, documentaries, and movies don't even begin to scratch the surface. Fabric said, man, study the Middle Passage. And here are two books: The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, books 1 and 2 by the Nation of, by the Nation of Islam. All right. The Secret, study the middle passage. And here are 2 books. The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, books 1 and 2 by the Nation of Islam. All right. James say, man, if people truly understood the gravity of how dehumanizing, detrimental, and devastating the slavery period was to our people, yet look at us, everyone still swinging off of our big black nuts. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Alonzo. You say Columbus is 1492. Well, honestly, I don't know if that's actually correct. I think it was 1492. Well, he's supposed to have sailed from what was that? Spain? Isabella and Ferdinand. I think it was 1492 that they funded the exposition, you know, for Columbus. They gave the money, the bread. I can't recall exactly if he actually sailed in 1492. But yeah, in any respect, man, you got to still look at it like this, man. Slavery, you know, that peculiar institution didn't hit the Americas, well, North America specifically, in such a way to where it wasn't that early, bro. All other Western countries were doing it. You know, you have to keep in mind that America really wasn't even established yet. You know, the UK was still, you know, pretty much sending settlers over here or whatever the case may have been. You know what I mean? But it wasn't, you know, actually colonized just yet. You know, and slavery didn't impact North America in great numbers until around the 18th century, the late 1600s, you know, 1680s, 1670s, 80s, 90s, you know. And again, at that time, bro, if you know, you guys do your research, blacks, you know, they were a part of the whole establishment, the governments, you know, hey man, they were here, you know, they were doing the damn thing, you know, controlling shit. Yeah. Fabrice said, man, we were too strong to be made slaves in the state where we were too strong to be made slaves in the state we were in leaving the shores of Africa. So in 1555, a slaver by the name of John Hawkins on a ship named Jesus took us into the isles of the Pacific, South America, Central America, the Virgin Islands. And it was in this middle passage that we were broken and forced into a docile enough state to be brought to America and sold in agreement. Yeah, I know Greek, Roman, and Greco-Roman history, but those were consensual arrangements. This was forced barbarism, and slavery and savagery on us. Be that as it may, my point was that the behavior of those who committed those acts, you know, on those slavers, you know, who committed those acts on Africans, they come from a lineage that's their line. That's what they were into. So it's not, you know, to me, it's not shocking or odd that they would participate in something like that. Now, whether or not the Greeks and Romans were doing that consensually, I don't necessarily agree with, because a lot of children were being mistreated and misused at that time as well. You know, they had this thing, especially when they went to war. Women and children would go to war with them, and for whatever, you know, and they were being used in that respect as well. So I can't say that a child who's being, molested and, done, that being done to is consensual. The bathhouses of these places at those times were, there were children in them there to cater, to pour the hot water, to bring them the fruits and shit, you know what I mean? And to service them. I don't call that consensual. That's why I said that, bro. Yeah, that's not consensual. You're talking about adults. Yeah, to some extent. And even then, you can't, I don't know. I will be very careful with using the word consensual, because a lot of what took place, even with those who we would deem or say were involved consensually, that it could have been something else. It could have been coercion. It could have been a whole lot of things where they were putting, hey, what other choice do I have? Run your sword through me, you know what I mean? If I don't comply, no telling how that went down, just saying. But anyway, you're going to say, man, well, Henry said, man, taking on the behavior of the same people that oppressed our people. Yeah, that's what we do. And I'm saying this to say the whole point I'm trying to make is this, and not irrespective of what was done to our brothers and sisters back in that time frame you gave us, Fat Rat. I'm saying, man, that the behavior that was enacted upon us, man, it had been going on for so long, it has become the behavior of our people. It's learned. And again, whether it's forced on them or not, this is something that they've come to experience, seen a lot of, a lot of was done to them. And through time, man, we pick up these habits. Why? I don't know. I can't speak to the psychology of that, but, yeah, man, our behaviors, man, are learned behaviors. These aren't our behaviors. These are actually how we are carrying on is unnatural to who we are. That's all I want to say. And we're acting this way because this is what we've learned. This is how we've been taught, Fat Rat said, man, those two books, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews, give actual accounts from their own scholars and writers, expositions who recorded their conduct and their profiteering. And again, I'm like this. I take most of the stuff with a grain of salt, because once I go to reading some, I'm going to research the individuals. I need to know who they were. That way I get an understanding. I may acquire an understanding of, what their school of thought was, where they come from, who they would learn, Now, couple that with the fact that anytime we get literature or we get some type of information that's negative or that shows us in a derogatory light or respect, we got to be mindful that, or be careful, just take into consideration that could be a work of fiction. It could be something produced to cast a bad light on us, to excuse away a whole lot of shit. You know what I mean? That's why I'm saying that. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying we ought to always be careful about what we read and who published it, or who, what we're reading from, or who we're reading it from. That's all I'm saying. Because I've read some shit and it come to find out it was crap. It was made up. It was made to look a certain way. It was made so that we would be seen in a different light or a certain light. We get it all the time. We got them white scholars who wrote or published all kind of stuff. Come to find out, it's always later that they were lies. They made that up so that they can seem or look superior to us. We can look inferior, or we can look as though we've had, it was our fault that, this, that, and third occurred. You know what I mean? I just say be mindful of that, man. All right, let's get ready to cut it out, you guys. Got my text. Excuse me. James said, man, those were still barbaric times. Yes, they were. Can't deny that. You can't deny that. And the way Fat Rat depicts or speaks about that occurrence, between 1555 and 1619. Yeah, that's some atrocious shit. But and couple that though with what actually took place after, well, by Fat Rat's description, after breaking our brothers and sisters back then, making them docile, making taking away their resistance, have in whatever form they did, man. They got over here, excuse me, and the shit even it seemed to have gotten worse. Because truth be told, there's a history here about the same thing. What so-called white masters were doing to black men, and what the mistress was doing, and the shit goes on and on, man. But again, this is all learned behavior. When we see our people acting the way we act, it's learned behavior, no doubt. But again, that should only go so far. At some point, we should take responsibility. We should be held accountable for what we do, especially knowing what we know. Especially knowing what we know, man. James said, man, those were still barbaric times, and life expectancy was much lower. 500 years ago, they lived to about 40 or so max. Yeah, that was a rough time, man, for them. Because you got to recall, they were just coming out of the dark ages. They didn't understand, sanitation. They didn't have, water systems, sewage systems, shit of that nature. They were sleeping with pigs and cows, the livestock. You know what I mean? They didn't bathe, yeah. So yeah, their life expectancy, man, was limited. But I think around that time, 500 years ago, Africans were living way longer. The roles have reversed now, almost, by a decade or so. Now we don't even live longer than them. Ain't that something? Come on, man. They can't even reflect the source of life, and they live longer than us. Come on, man. This shit is, hey, man. It is what it is, and that means all this shit is by design. I don't think it's by the will of a God that we're in this position or we're going through this. This is some more shit. This is some BS, man. But there that go. Henry said, man, and they needed black men to help them navigate the 7 seas. Yeah, well, because we had already done it. They hadn't done it. They hadn't done it. All right, Poke, I see you up in here, man. You said, man, got in from work late, but as always, I give salute to you, Bub, and to the UTG and RGC. Always be focused on the focus. Right back to you, bro. I salute right back to you. All right. And yeah, it is what it is, bro. You getting it in, you prioritizing your life. Do what you got to do, man, to make sure that you keep what you need to keep stable. You know what I mean? Take care of your business, man. I ain't gonna never knock you for that. That ain't gonna happen. That won't happen. All right, but on that note, Pope, man, love you, bro. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, man. You making the time, man. Cool. If not, cool, man. We still love you. We still respect you. All right. Miss having you in here, man, dropping them gems and asking them questions, though. I have to say. On that note, hey, you guys, look, it is about this. This is what it is. It's love of self, man. First. And I mean that, man. I mean that before any religion, any faith, anything. Love yourself first, man. I'm telling you, you're going to come upon a lot. You're going to realize a whole lot just by doing that with you. Love yourself, man. Love yourself so that you can love others. Love of self, man, it allows us, man, to love our brothers and sisters, because we get why that's so important. When we get to the point where we know why it's important to love ourselves, loving each other is not going to be a problem. It's not, and we'll love ourselves and each other so much that, man, will understand that really the thing is, man, if we got us, we good. We good. You don't need nothing else. Now, and along with that, you got to take care of yourselves, man. Our health is our wealth. Our health is our wealth. Without that, man, we broke. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, we broke. Take care of yourselves, man, so that you are in a position, you know, to do well for yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. But also, man, you be in a position to help those brothers and sisters who may need your support, who might need your help, need you to help take care of them in some form of fashion. All right. So those two things I think are imperative for us as individuals, you know, for us to, you know, reach a certain degree of humanism, you know, or spirituality, is to love ourselves and take care of ourselves first. All right. Be one, black first. Be one, black first. Be one to be one, y'all. Black first. All right. Power's in the people. Take care of yourselves. All right. Take care of each other, man. All right. Power is in the people. Power is in the people. You don't give power to the people. I'm telling y'all, that's wrong. The power is already there. All right. You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. Take care of one another, y'all. Peace and prosperity.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurston writing future history. From the Apollo to the borough to the sphere, where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transformed suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than actors, hats, and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch you the applause for polls. Need your data, tropes, and constant problem when the wedges wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times. Plead the walk is off the main. Make it on the fans. Turn the neck and love the durn. Suffer like a kesha. You been grown to preaching up on side is each alone. Bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vet someone that varied it's on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the Bonavent. You wait something for the marker rate to keep him full the club and saw the boards to the singer land is carried open slow to keep us looking on my mother record generosity more than he and let the peasant be and every time we keep a spawn.